Good morning. Welcome back. It is Tuesday, July 11th, 7 a.m. New York time. So, good morning. Good morning to everyone here stateside. Good afternoon to all of my European folk and African folk. And good evening to all of those over in Asia. Glad you guys are tuning in and watching, checking things out. Venator Trading. We're taking $10,000 funded account. We're going to stack it all the way up to 2 million by the end of this year. And we are currently kind of just stuck where we are right now. Like we're at 4% drawdown. We've been there for several days. We've lost the two trades we've taken since we've got our phase 2 challenge and our phase 1 challenge working. And we just haven't seen very many setups form. The ones that I have seen wouldn't have triggered us in anyway. And so we're just being patient and waiting. There is no time limit. We're trading with bespoke funding, and so there's no time limit with bespoke. And so we have no worries. We have no rush. My wife was talking to me yesterday after the stream, and she's like, how come it's going so slow? And I'm like, just waiting for my setups. I'm in no rush. We're just chilling and waiting for our trophy buck setups to appear. We're just walking into the woods. There's no guarantee you go into the woods every day you're going to take down a trophy buck. So we're just sitting here waiting. That's what we've been doing. Had somebody pop in my DMs yesterday and been like, man, how do you just sit there and not take any trades every day? Like, well, you just do it. You just come to the chart and you just sit and you watch, and you don't convince yourself of anything. Your setup should be crystal clear. You should see it without any doubt or confusion in your mind, and then you just execute when it's there. And over the last 100 trades, we're still above a 50% win rate. We're at like 55, I think, right now. So I'm not worried about anything. Being in drawdown doesn't bother me. In fact, the more trades I lose, the more confident I become that probabilistically, statistically, a winner is about to happen, because that's just the way the system works. So good morning, guys. Good to see you in here. Mr. Brooks, Michael, Adrian, Shafa. Shafa, have you taken any trades today? How's that funded account going? I love seeing you guys send me DMs and screenshots of you passing challenges. So keep them coming. It makes my day. And I love sharing them. I love being able to show other people, look, hey, you can do this. Others are doing it. You can do it as well. It can be so frustrating when you're sitting there failing challenge after challenge after challenge. And you wonder, when is my time? When is my time? I promise you, you can do this. Do not give up. Do not give up. Once you learn this skill set, it can never be taken from you. And once you kind of pull back the curtain and see behind the mystery machine and how it all works, you can't unsee it. And you realize, oh, okay, now I get it, and I can keep doing this forever, and there's nothing that's going to stop me. Good morning, Beeswax. Shafa, oh, I have not recovered it yet. Need to complete those 3 days on Classic Challenge. So opened a micro lot today, 1 day left, and I'm ready to go. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Hey, Jordy, welcome in from the Netherlands. Hey, I think you're neighbors with Michael over there. I think. Michael, aren't you from the Netherlands? I think you said you were Dutch. Maybe not. I can't remember. Shafa, but I'm watching. Gold is about to reach that fair value gap daily. Cool. Well, just stay patient, Shafa. Do not rush. Do not get impatient. There is no time limit. There's no profit target. You just wait for your setup, and then you execute. the same way you did in your challenge. Listen, guys, if you can pass a challenge and get funded, don't change what you're doing when you get to the funded account. I see so many people say, "Oh, I trade this way on the challenge, but then I trade this way on the funded account. I treat them differently." Don't do that. You're just screwing up your psychology and your emotions and what you've worked so hard to achieve. You just produced somewhere between 13% and 15% profit in probably a month or two's time. That's incredible. That's incredible. Don't change what you just did to create 13 to 15% profit. There's no reason to do it. Just go back into the markets, stay patient, and just rinse and repeat. Execute your plan. Don't do anything else. So, Denmark. I knew it was close. I knew it was close. Well, you're closer than I am. Yeah, it was such a long road for me to finally make it. Not going to screw that. Good morning, Alex. Welcome in. Yeah, don't screw it up. And there's no don't put that pressure on yourself to be like, oh, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. Just relax. The market hasn't changed. It's the same as it was when you were trading your challenge. You're still just trading a demo account. The prop firm that you're using is not copying your trades. They're not booking you. It's just paper trading. That's all you're doing is continue to paper trade. So don't worry. Don't stress. Just stay patient and get that payout. Get that payout and get that refund, and then you can start stacking. Hey, John, welcome in. Spiffy, good morning. NAS 100 looks like it might have potential. All right. We'll jump over and we'll take a look at NAS. No, it's called NDX. That's what it's called. I forgot. At least I thought it was. Maybe it's not. Nope. Where's the 8 cap NAS? What's it called? We did this the other day. And someone had to correct me. Now I can't remember what it was. I thought it was NDX. Wasn't it NDX? NDX 100. That's what I thought. But I don't see ACAP. Anywhere in here. I had it up the other day. Yeah, I know the US 30 is Dow Jones Industrial Average Index on 8 cap. So what is... Yeah, it was one of them. Anyway, I don't know. Well, let's just see what this says. That's not it. That's definitely not it. I mean, we can just use Pepperstone. We'll just use Pepperstone. It's fine. Hey, Sam. Good morning. All right. Here we go. So we've been in a bit of consolidation here on the 4-hour. Daily's obviously been in a big uptrend. We haven't displaced above this high. We have CPI coming out tomorrow. Potentially, you could be looking at a seek and destroy day where you're just going to consolidate today, engineer liquidity for the news tomorrow. You've got relative equal highs up here on the NAS. You do have some relative equal lows down here. Let's see, over evening Asia, London dropped down, took out some on the 4-hour. We've taken out sell side, come back up, dip back in one more time. Overnight, we took out the buy side, reached back up into this imbalance. -15-minute. We do have a clear, to me, this is kind of clear sell side liquidity down here. A lot of stops under here. You've had buy side liquidity up here. Quick tag up into that London session. Quick tag back down, but we've had no aggressive displacement back below to change structure. So I don't see currently here a setup. We would need to see displacement below this low, and we didn't get it. So now we're just going to wait. I don't see currently, and maybe it looks differently on your chart because this isn't ACAP, it's Pepperstone. Perhaps that looks a little bit different on your chart, but I'm not seeing a setup here on the NAS, at least on the 15-minute. Hey, Stone, welcome in. Sai, look at Euro. We will look at Euro, yes. Euro, very interesting, very choppy morning on Euro. We took out sell side, we took out buy side, and now since we have fallen back down. On Euro, man, gosh, yesterday, this setup right here as we displace back through this high, I really, really wanted it to come down, but you can see, let me just highlight what we saw on Euro. There's nothing happening on Euro right now, so just we can relax there a minute. We're going to have some time, but let me just show you yesterday's session. This was your breaker block right here, and you had a beautiful fair value gap nested inside there. And I almost called this trade out, but the reason I didn't is because 10:30 is about as late as I want to go. I don't want to really get into a trade after 10:30 a.m. And so as this candle, as the 10:15 candle closed with 15 minutes left, I almost called this trade out. But it wouldn't have gotten triggered anyway because I would have been at the bottom. I want to be close to 50%. I want to be as close to 50% of the breaker as I can get while staying inside the fair value gap. So my entry would have been at the bottom of this fair value gap, and my stop would have been below the candle and the breaker, and my TP would have been up here. It did almost come down. It just touched the top of that fair value gap yesterday at 10:30, and then it took off. So this is the 10 o'clock candle. So this is 10:15. This is 10:30 as this candle closed. So I didn't call it out, but I did have it set up at 10 during the 10:30 to 10:45 time. It came down. It didn't get in there, and then it did obviously rallied the rest of the day. But very nice setup here on pound dollar that I thought, I was hoping, but it just didn't play out the way we wanted it to. So no trade set up there. Is Jack in here yet? I want to know if he took that pound Aussie trade. Jordy says, inspiring to hear the different journeys. Currently doing a 10K challenge, risking half until 3%. From 3%, risking 1% until 8% is reached. Currently at 2%, up in almost 2 weeks. That's awesome, Jordy. Good job. Good job. I'm not a huge fan of changing risk. But what I do say is if you don't have the data on 100 live trades in the market, executing your system as best as you can, you should only be risking 0.5% to 1%. So if you have that data and you know what your win rate is over the last 100 trades, you know what your overall risk reward ratio is over the last 100 trades, you know what your maximum losing streak is over the last 100 trades, that's when you can increase your risk percentage based on the probabilities over the next 100 trades if you trust yourself to execute your trading plan, which I do. I trust myself to execute my trading plan, which is why we risk 2% per trade here. But 0.5% to start out, I've seen a lot of people do that where they want to risk a small percentage and then, you know, as your account grows, you increase your risk percentage there. So it's not a horrible. I'm not a huge fan of changing risk ever. You should just trade your setup, and if it's an A+ setup, trade it, trust your system, let your edge play out. But if you know your max losing streak is like 6 or 7 in a row, then risking 0.5% is probably pretty wise. It's not as strong to the downside that I would like. I agree. Wait for the next buck. Yeah. There was no displacement through here. You need to see this type of move continue down and close below change structure, and it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So there's nothing there. On euro dollar, very seek and destroy mode currently. I would like to see euro dollar come back down into here today. I would like to see either today or tomorrow, and maybe I was hoping overnight it might come back down in here, rebalance some of this. This is where I would be interested with my other strategies, just trading order blocks, OTEs. I would, and I did have some buy limit orders down here on euro dollar, but it obviously just did not fall. But I'm still bullish on the foreigns and bearish on the dollar. You can see the dollar's been very weak. We've now, yesterday we traded to the top of that fair value gap, closed just above it. Overnight we opened, and then we have crashed all the way through this daily fair value gap right here. So really the next item of interest that we have, this 4-hour imbalance here still hasn't been filled in. That could be a draw on liquidity. And then below that, you start having old swing lows and relative equal lows all stacked up under here. So I'm still bearish. I've said this for the last couple of weeks that the higher time frame, I'm bearish on dollar. You can go back and listen to the streams. I have been long-term bearish on the dollar. The weekly fair value gap was respected beautifully, and then we've just tanked off of that. So I'm still bearish on the dollar. That doesn't mean you can't have a day here and there where you're going to get a bullish dollar. And with such aggressive moves, you can anticipate consolidation or small retraces before you get more moves. So we'll just wait and see. For my idea to play out with euro dollar, we would need dollar strength. We would need the dollar to rally back up into some of these imbalances here and give you a nice little pullback, a little retracement. It's in a deep discount right now, and so you would want to see the dollar come back up into a premium level, and then you would be looking to buy these foreign pairs off of the dollar at these levels. But what you can do is wait for displacement, wait for a run on liquidity, and then displacement lower. And you could potentially find a move down into some of that discount area before you could get long. So that's euro dollar. Not anything currently that I'm I would be happy to take. There was a nice run on liquidity here. You got, if you were treating this as displacement and you got back in, there's no fair value gap created. So at least on the 15-minute, there wasn't. On the 10-minute, there's not. Was a small one here on the 5-minute, and if you took that, you would have gotten slapped on that. So it was just kind of a seek and destroy profile. We had some pound news overnight that affected the aggressive whiplash move back and forth there. Their unemployment rate came out, and so that affected euro and pound a little bit. So whip down, whip up, and now we've come back down. We've taken out sell side. It does not have to come back down this far. That's just what I would prefer. It could take out some of the London session lows here and then rally higher. So, or it could just drop here, tag into here, and then tomorrow you get your run up. Hey, David, good morning. Welcome in. Welcome, Venators, all my hunters. All my trophy buck setup hunters, we are here back in the tree stand. Let's look at pound. This was my setup on pound yesterday. This is as the euro dollar did this little move here. Pound at the same time was right here, 10 o'clock, 10:30, but then it broke through. This was my overnight idea that I had for the London session. I was hoping the news would spike it down, tap back into this breaker here. You can see it on the 1 hour a lot more clearly, where this move down into this liquidity, it started here, up move, we run liquidity, we displace through it. There's your 1 hour breaker block, nice fair value gap. On the 30-minute, it looks really nice, right in the middle right there. But it just didn't come back down. But it's similar to euro, where I would want to see and anticipate a move back down into this level here potentially. So maybe we get that today. You can see overnight the news came out, spiked up, came back down. This is not a bad little setup here. It's not the cleanest setup on pound dollar, but you can see right here, we did take out a small amount of buy side liquidity right there. Not a lot, but you can see a quick stab down and then a quick displacement up. This was the news, and then it left behind this fair value gap in here. Your breaker block is right here. You would have needed to put, if you were going to go long here on the breaker or halfway through the breaker, your stop would have needed to be below the candle that created the fair value gap, which is under here. And that trade did working out. You went into quite a bit of drawdown there. So I don't know if anybody took that on pound dollar, but that was it was a breaker setup, although it wasn't the cleanest run on liquidity. I probably would have preferred to see it just dig a little bit more, but it did take out this little trend line here. All the liquidity that was built up under there, it ran that and then displaced away very aggressively. The news hit at 2. So you had this 15-minute candle, big bullish. Next 15-minute candle, big bullish, leaves behind a fair value gap. Enter about 50% of that breaker inside there. Put your stop at below the fair value gap, and it's going to work out, or it's not, and it did in fact work out there. So don't know if anybody took that, but that was a nice little trade setup on pound USD this morning. Pound yen, this was a beautiful little setup overnight. This was a really nice setup. So you have, this is probably the best setup I've seen in a little while. So you had, as we go into the Asian session, it runs this liquidity. Look at this quick stab up, grabs liquidity, aggressive move back down. This is what you want to see after you grab those stops. And then what happens? You need to identify your breaker. Your breaker is sitting right here. There's your breaker. And inside of that, you have this fair value gap right there. Beautiful setup. It really was just so nice. And if so there's a couple things here. If your stop, or I mean if your entry was at 50% of the breaker, you probably would have missed your stop would have been up here above the candle that created the fair value gap, and your take profit would have been right there. This candle here at 21.45 almost triggered you in, but it didn't. But then in the London session, you can see that news hits on pound, runs back up into that breaker, right into that fair value gap, and inside that breaker 50% almost fills in that whole breaker, but it doesn't, respects it beautifully, drops away for a quick 1 to 2. So both of those are very clean. You could have gotten in at 21.45. I don't trade the Asian session. I just saw this morning, and it was set up during the Asian session, and then you get triggered in during London, and you get your 1 to 2. But another just really nice setup there, guys. That's a really nice, pretty setup. The only thing that may have kept me out of this trade is that this move down did take out the sell side liquidity here, and the next, oops, sorry about that. It left this down here, which could be our target for today. These relative equal lows and this swing low here. So currently, though, what we're looking at is really not much of anything. Now that we've grabbed sell side, we grab the sell side liquidity here off of that move, and we're just consolidating currently. So we'll have to watch and wait. It's grab sell side. After it grabbed sell side, we did not get displacement back above. So it'll be interesting to see, do we get a tag up above some of these highs and then we get displacement lower? Do we run sell side and then get a push up? Not really sure. We're just going to watch and see what the market gives us. Euro pound, also another really nice setup here on euro pound. Jack would be so excited we're talking about euro dollar or euro pound right now. But you run liquidity right here. So you get a stab up into liquidity at the Asian session, and then as you get displacement away, when the news hits, leaves behind a nice little breaker. Where did this run on liquidity start? It started on these are, I probably would have used this candle right here as my breaker. It's the lowest bodied down close candle before liquidity was run. It started this swing started back here on this candle. And inside of that, you have your breaker block right there. And the top of that breaker is, oops, we want to go short, is right at that 50%. So we would go inside the breaker as close to 50% as we can. We would put our stop above the candle that created the fair value gap, target 1 to 2.1. And just another beautiful entry, wicks back up, hardly any drawdown, and a quick 1 to 2. So I don't know if anybody saw that on euro pound, but that was also a decent setup there on euro pound. This is the setup. This is what we're looking for, guys. Run of liquidity, displacement away, where once it breaks structure, where's your breaker? Is there a fair value gap? Set your limit orders, and then let it go. Let it go. That's a nice setup on euro pound. US 30, this is what we were looking at yesterday in our session. I had originally said that this was our 1 hour breaker up here. And I had said that I really felt better about this breaker block right here. This is the one that gives you your last dig into liquidity. You get displacement away. There's a fair value gap. Plus, it would have been down into a discount area. And when the market opened at 9:30, you did get a dig down. And look, it just taps right into the top of that breaker block right there. It didn't get down far enough for me to get an entry or to even, like, I just wanted to wait yesterday. Once I got off the stream, I couldn't check the charts as often as I wanted yesterday morning, but it did tap right into that breaker, and then it just took off. So starting to see our setups form across multiple pairs here, and that's encouraging. Currently, US 30, we've had a big run down here on sell side liquidity. All of this, and now we have, Michael says, DXY and EU has some SMT here. If dollar makes a market structure shift, it could be a nice break around 15. Okay, we'll jump back over there a second. So yeah, US 30, quick stab up. It ran buy side, quick stab down. If you were looking to get short, you probably been stopped out. But what we see, because we've been bullish more than anything on the higher time frames, we would be anticipating a dig down, which we got, and now we're getting run higher here. This move started way up here, so not the cleanest of structure to find a good breaker, because all of this really could be considered a breaker. But if you got displacement above it, you know, potentially you could get an entry somewhere in here. But we'll watch US 30 and see what develops. Let's jump back over DXY. Let's see. So dollar took out its low here. What was that? That was the 630 candle broke the low at the 215. And the 630 candle on Euro did not take out that high at 215. So this high on Euro was left in place. Dollar took it out and rebounded. And so yes, this would be SMT for sure. So you have this right here is a lower low, and on dollar, took that out, and this should have been reversed. You would have wanted to see, if they were going to move in conjunction, the dollar should have looked like this, but it didn't. So yes, that is a little bit of SMT, which is a smart money technique indicating a potential reversal in the market. DXY hit a weekly order block as well. Yeah, it did. Crypto Heaven, welcome in, man. Due to work, I'm not able to trade those time zones that you trade. My work finishes legit 30 minutes after New York, and it starts before the London Open. Could I still trade it after New York? Let me try to understand this. So you get off work 30 minutes after, so you're getting off work at around like 11 o'clock New York time. You can trade the New York afternoon session. Forex pairs typically don't move a lot during the afternoon session. The indices do, US 30, NAS, ES, and Bitcoin. Some crypto does. Yeah, futures is definitely better for a PM New York session if that works for you. So getting familiar with ES, US 30, NAS, all of those would probably be a better pairs to watch in the New York afternoon session. The Asian session, I mean, it doesn't do much except engineer liquidity for London. So not the best session to trade. There are some pairs that move. You can find some pairs probably that move during Asian, but not many. That's a tough spot to be, especially if your work doesn't allow you to open the charts occasionally, like once every 15 or 30 minutes. It's tough. I get that. We have no news today. Um, so, we're gonna watch and wait and see what we see. Did take out a swing high right here. So a swing high is just when you have a middle candle, you have a lower high on one side and a lower high on the other side. That's a swing high right here. And then we popped up and took it out, created another swing high. So you did get a small little run on liquidity here on euro dollar. Um, but the thing that's not great here, thing I don't like about it is these three candles would be your breaker, and that run on liquidity was completely inside that breaker. So not the cleanest setup if we were going to anticipate weakness on euro here. I'm bullish on the foreigns, so I would almost rather prefer to see a stab down here into sell side, and then like yesterday, a run up aggressively. So just kind of watching and waiting there. Pound Aussie did not work out yesterday. It ended up getting triggered in, but it was late in the afternoon session, and then it just consolidated around and eventually moved up. But this is the move you wanted to see. Pound Aussie yesterday. Someone showed, I think Jack pulled this up for us, but you would have wanted to see a move back up into this area on this move. Like you wanted to see the retrace happen right there. And it didn't happen until after our trading session hours would have passed to get into a trade. Asai was up 5.5% last week, came down to 3% yesterday. Today back to 3.8. Good job, Sai. Just keep managing that risk. Don't change anything. That's the biggest advice I think I could give you is once you start trading, don't change what you're doing based on whether you win or you lose. Just keep executing your setup when you see it. Just keep executing your setup when you see it. John says, what confuses me about SM&T is that the divergence indicates a change in the market, but which market? So what it's saying typically is that the dollar here wanted to grab liquidity to run higher, and euro did not need to grab that liquidity. It just is going to show weakness without needing to grab any more orders. So the dollar wanted to reach down and grab those orders, the euro did not. So typically what this means is if you see euro not make that higher high and you see the dollar make the lower low, then you would anticipate that this is reversing. Whichever direction this is going, this is going to reverse. And so you can look to euro not to come back up here, and it's just going to continue to reverse. So you could look for an order block entry, a fair value gap entry. We trade the breaker block. I do trade order blocks and fair value gaps and optimal trade entries on my other strategies. Not going to introduce those here. Part of me really, really wants to, just because I feel like we could have already been a little bit further along, but this stream is about taking one setup, one strategy, showing you how to be patient and wait. So we'll just, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to be patient and wait. We'll wait for our breaker block setup. It's just really nothing in here. There's really no entry on the 15, 10, or 5 here. There's no good fair value gaps to target. There was just nothing. So this is the only thing I can see, but I don't really like it on euro dollar because the breaker block, again, the move of the run of liquidity. I mean, I guess you could just use this last candle here if you wanted. If you just use that last candle, then you could be looking at something like that. Again, not the cleanest run of liquidity there. And again, I would be anticipating this to come down into this area, potentially all the way down to this order block right here, to this wick. And then it would find some strength. So that, I'm going to mark out where the top of that, this order block is right here, just so we can keep that on our lower time frame, a potential target, so that you could still take this lower if you identify that, but that could be nice little setup. We'll see. I need to see how this candle is closing pretty aggressively down. You obviously have a swing low right here where there's orders. If you were long yesterday, there are orders resting below that swing low. Stops have been moved up to protect profits. Interesting little 30-minute fair value gap right here. And on the 1 hour, on the 4 hour, obviously you have the large imbalance. This is a buy side imbalance. Pound is not showing the same amount of weakness here. Again, on the dollar, we would anticipate the dollar strengthening a little bit. You have this volume imbalance up here on the 1 hour. I think that's the overnight rollover there. But you could see and make a case for the dollar strengthening back up. If this fair value gap wants to act as support, it can spike down. This is a daily fair value gap. So if this daily candle closes inside or above, then this fair value gap is still a valid PD array supporting a stronger dollar. But you could anticipate a stronger dollar today, maybe potentially after this big move down, or at least a retrace. Not necessarily a strong move all the way back up, but a retrace of some kind. Yes, there's SMT. We just talked about that SI a little bit. There's SMT. The euro dollar did not take out this high, and the low on dollar that corresponds here was taken out. So yes, that's SMT. EU kind of looks like a market maker sell model to me. If you go to the 1 hour, then move from Friday to now, looks like the first half. Yeah. So you've got here your first accumulation, your second smart money buy. You would want to see some accumulation here, and then it could potentially go lower. Yeah, I don't really use. I'm aware of the concept, the market maker X model buy or sell, and I'm very well aware of it. But I don't necessarily have any implementation there for it to um, to use inside this breaker model, other than I just know what the concept is. Yeah, I get bored when no setup appears, and in that situation, I make a mistake. Yeah, that's just maturity. I used to do that too. I'd be like, I feel like I need to be making money, and it's not your job to make money. That's not your job. Your trading system's job is to make money. Your job is just to execute your trading system. So it's not your job to make money, and your trading system is what makes you the profits. So just execute your trading system. And if that means you have to sit there for 2 or 3 days before you see your setup, that's fine. There is no time limit. You're just executing at a high level, and you're showing discipline, you're showing patience, you're proving to yourself that you have the skill set that professional traders need to be able to do this for a living. Yeah, you see it on Twitter. There's so many ICT concepts. I don't know if you guys ever watch. There's a streamer called Cami Capital, and he put out a video yesterday how he's going back to just kind of his bread and butter 2022 mentorship, and he expressed, kind of he sees all of these concepts that ICT teaches, and he's trying to learn them all, and he's trying to incorporate them all, and he's lost his funded account. He can't pass challenges anymore. And but yesterday he went back to just a 15-minute time frame and just executing the 2022 mentorship model, broke his losing streak, and he's like, I'm just going to resolve to just do that. And that's what I've been telling you guys for the last 2 months is get off those lower time frames. You're not going to be successful down there. You're just not. Um, so stay up on the 15-minute time frame. Wait for the crystal clear setup. You're going to be much more likely to be in line with the market movement overall direction. You're going to eliminate. There's just a lot of fear and FOMO that comes when the market is moving as fast as it is, and you have to make quick decisions. On the 15-minute time frame, you have plenty of time to sit here and think it through, because it takes 15 minutes for one candle to print. That's plenty of time to walk back through and make sure this setup fits every one of your trade criteria before you execute. So um, it was just interesting to see. And I say all that to just say there's so many ICT concepts, and if you try to implement all of them, you're going to drown in complexity, and you're going to see things that aren't there. You're going to convince yourself of a fair value gap, an order block, a new week opening gap, an OTE, a breaker block, a a a rebalance of price, PBR, price balanced area, whatever it's called. I mean, there's just so many turtle soups. I mean, you can just go on and on and on with all of the concepts and vocabulary, and it's just going to overwhelm you. ICT even says, take my concepts and build your own strategy. Find a concept that works for you, that you clearly understand, and just build one simple trading setup off of that. That's all you need. That's what this setup here is. It's a breaker block nested fair value gap. I've heard people call it unicorn. You know, I don't know if ICT came in and just sat and watched how I explain how this setup works, if he would even say, "Oh, he would probably be like, that's not what I meant. But whatever he did to teach me that, I've now used to create my own trading system here and my own strategy, my own entry. And it has allowed me to become profitable. So it works. So even if it's not exactly what he would say, that's not my breaker block. He might say that. Probably would, in fact. And that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm not trying to just replicate exactly what he does. I'm just trying to take the concept that I learned from him, and I've identified how it works for me. Which name? Oh, the streamer. His name is Cammy Capital. Cammy, I think. Cammy Capital. And he trades just futures. He trades ES and NAS like ICT does currently. And he trades the afternoon session only because he's in New Zealand. And so it's like, I don't know, the afternoon session, the afternoon New York session from like 1 to 4 o'clock or whatever it is, that's when he's online streaming because it's like 5 or 6 a.m. there in New Zealand. So he gets up early and trades the afternoon New York session on futures. So, and he's been trying to get funded. He was funded, lost his funded account, and he's been trying to get back funded and has reset and blown a couple of challenges. And he has recently just attributed it to overcomplicating things, getting down on the 1 minute to 2 minute time frame, and it just has not gone well for him recently, which is fine. I would love to see ICT get in here. That would be fantastic. He's welcome here anytime. Absolutely. I would love to see one of you try and get him into our stream. That'd be brilliant. You would be a Venator trader for life. There would be some kind of extra benefit for the trader who gets ICT to show up in our stream. Jack Cammy's good. Australian fella. Yeah, New Zealand. All right, so euro dollar just tanking here. Dollar running away pretty aggressively. Not currently any setup. Jack, did you take the euro pound trade last night on this break right here? Did you get back in? Beautiful little breaker. Fair value gap entry. Tell me you took that, man. You're the EG guy. And your pound Aussie trade didn't get triggered in yesterday. I was watching it too. It did get triggered in, but you should not have taken it because it would have been after 11 o'clock when it got triggered in. So. But that was a nice little setup here on the pound dollar. Easy setup right there. You'd have to you want to be in the fair value app as close to 50% as you can, but brilliant setup. I saw it this morning. I was like, man, I hope Jack took that. I didn't trade yesterday. Unfortunately, it was busy all day. Oh, this is today. Not yesterday, today. I was this morning on EG. Dollar has a nice breaker now, or when this 15-minute candle closes, but I kind of doubt EU is going to come all the way up to its breaker with how weak it is. Oh, yeah. This is it, Jack, right here, man. Man, I can't believe you didn't see that. You're usually all over these. Breaker, run on liquidity, displacement, identify where this run on liquidity began. It began right here. Here's your fair value gap. You get inside your fair value gap close to 50%, 1 to 2. You were in and out, hardly any drawdown. So, yeah. Yeah, I know, John, you really like Cami. John, have you figured out what you're going to do with your, are you going to buy a challenge yet, man? Did you figure out who you want to use? Yeah, so what Michael's talking about here is this is the breaker, the last up close candles that initiated this run on liquidity, and now we've displaced through. This candle closes in about 4 minutes, but it looks like it's going to leave a fair value gap here on your DXY. I would just be real cautious today, guys. Like, if we see a setup, we'll take it. But after a big move yesterday, you can expect consolidation, which we've seen overnight. And tomorrow you have a large news event, CPI. The inflation numbers are coming out. So that's going to move the market quite a bit. And so today could be just a seek and destroy model where you're going to go from sell side to buy side to sell side to buy side, and it could get real choppy. So we just need to be cautious here, understand what's happening, where we are in the day of the week, and where the news events are. But yeah, that could be potentially your breaker on the dollar here. And euro is just so much weaker currently than the dollar is. It has taken out the low here at 1730. Where's that candle? 1730. So euro has taken out this corresponding low, and look how far the dollar is away from that. So if you're bullish on foreigns and bearish on the dollar, this is not the SMT you would be anticipating. This would be the SMT you're anticipating. This could be your stab up into liquidity in a reversal. Euro ran aggressively down into this, took out that low, and dollar is still very far away from taking out that high. Well, not very, that's relative, but Aditya asks, how do you copy trades? Yeah, we use this right here. Social Trader Tools is what we use. If I go to Trade Copier, so that's how I copy trades. I just have it set up to the live funded account as copying trades onto our phase 2 and 10K and our phase 1 100K. I use a lot multiplier so it knows what position size to use. The 10K is, these 10Ks are the exact same. So the position size needs to be identical. So your lot multiplier is 1. 1 times whatever it is 1, right? Simple math. So any position size, any lot size that comes in from the funded account trade, it gets copied 1-to-1 on this phase 2 challenge. The 100K is 10 times larger, so your lot multiplier is 10. So any lot that comes in from this 10K, it will be 10x position size on the 100K account. But that's how we do it. We use Social Trader Tools. You add your accounts. It is a subscription service. It does cost money to do that, but I think the subscription I have currently allows me to have up to five or six more. So I could add a few more here before I would have to upgrade to a larger subscription. But that's how we do it right there. Yeah, we use Social Trader Tools. You can find them online and There's several videos out from people that also show you how to set that up. John says, no, not yet. I'm exclusively futures, and I haven't found a futures challenge that I think I could make work for me yet. I'm all ears on suggestions. So I'm really interested, John, to see what My Funded FX, the CEO, the guy who started My Funded FX, which is a great Forex prop firm, one of the best in the industry right now. They're starting a My Funded Futures prop firm. And he says it's going to be launching in the next week or so. He's been showing screenshots. If you go on Twitter and follow My Funded Futures, you can follow along. My guess is they were quite a disruptor in the Forex prop firm space, and I would imagine there's going to be a lot of people using them. They're probably going to have some great trading conditions and parameters for futures traders. They're going to be a disruptor in the market. I would watch them. They're a legitimate firm, and they're growing rapidly. They have great infrastructure. They have great leadership at the top, behind the scenes from a business perspective. My Funded Futures, I'm not affiliated with them. I don't trade futures, but I love their Forex side of things, and I imagine their futures side is going to be pretty nice too. So I would keep my eye on My Funded Futures, but follow them on Twitter. I think they probably even have a Discord set up for My Funded Futures, but My Funded Futures. Oh, let me see if I think I follow them. Where do I? Where do you? Oh, explore. There we go. My Funded Futures. Yeah, there it is. There it is for everybody. Their website is myfundedfutures.com. And the website's not live yet. There's still that he's shown, you can see back here all the screenshots of their back end, minimum trading days, profit targets, all that stuff. So one step, using Trade-Ovate as the broker, using NinjaTrader as a platform. But yeah, they're doing giveaways right now. So Matt L. CEO is the owner and founder of My Funded FX. And he is the one who is starting My Funded Futures. And he's also currently partnering with a couple of other firm owners, and they're starting Seacrest Capital, which is a new retail prop firm that's about to launch. They're saying they're going to target the smaller account and be one of the cheapest options in the smaller account. So I imagine Seacrest is going to do really well too. But My Funded Futures is let's see, sneak peek tomorrow. That was July 6th. Anyway, I would imagine they're going to be quite the disruptor in the futures firm space. So just keep your eye on them. You can see dollar pulling back down now after grabbing this liquidity. It's pulling back down into this fair value gap. We'll see how it responds as we get into our 8 o'clock hour here. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a seek and destroy choppy day here, but it also wouldn't surprise me if we try to reach up and rebalance some of this stuff. Euro dollar grabbed all of the sell side. And again, the dollar didn't take out this high. The euro took out this low. Pound yen doing nothing. Euro pound just still crap in the bed there. US 30. This is this entire structure is your breaker that you would need to use. But it hasn't displaced above here yet. You would need to see pretty strong closure here above. There is a small little fair value gap, but it's already tapped into it. So I don't, when I see big, huge breakers like this, I'm not a huge fan of them. So DXY reaching down into that fair value gap here hasn't yet reached back down to this breaker block yet. It'll be interesting to see. Euro has reached back up and just tapped into that fair value gap there. Hey, I haven't said this yet, but we got I think I don't know, quite a few viewers on the stream right now. If you haven't hit that like button, I would appreciate it if you do. I'm grateful for you guys watching and participating in the chat here every day. And if you could just hit that like button for me, I'd appreciate it. RuFX, good morning. How are you, man? That's an unfamiliar name to me. Are you, if you're new to the stream, welcome. Glad you're here. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe I've seen you before. But I'm glad you're here and glad you're watching. Grateful for you. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to tune in and see what's going on. But if you've been here before, sorry if I don't remember. I don't remember seeing you active in the chat. At least you may have been here before. There's a lot of people I know that watch that don't like to get in the chat, and that's perfectly fine. I would love to have everyone get in the chat, but I know not everybody is going to do that. Not everybody has something to say or a question to ask, and they just want to watch, and that's totally cool. Totally cool. Oh, I need to expand that. There we go. That looks better. Oh, cool. Well, welcome in, man. I'm glad you're here. First time on the chat. Always glad to have first timers in the chat pop in. And I'm glad you've been watching. I hope you find it helpful. And I hope, I'd love to hear you share kind of where you're at with your trading right now. Are you in a challenge? Are you funded? What's happening with your trading? But I'm glad you're here. And you don't have to answer. Don't feel like just because I asked you that question. I don't want to make anybody feel pressure to respond. Even though there's only 19, 20 people watching, whatever it is, it's still, you know, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. I'm the only one that has to answer questions in here. 4% up on phase one. Awesome. What are you futures? Are you forex? Are you using which prop firm are you using? Hopefully, it's a no time limit firm. Dollar still hasn't reached back to that breaker. I'm wondering at the 830 if you get a push down into here, and would euro push hard enough up? I'm still trying to figure out. So you guys know, if you've been watching, I'm not a huge fan of counter trend trades, and because I'm bullish on the foreign dollar, on the foreign currencies, and I told you I was expecting the euro to come down into this area and then reverse up. It has reached into that 4-hour imbalance right here. This 4-hour imbalance, it's currently tagged down into that. If you take this leg up, it's reached into a discount. It didn't get down to the OTE, but it doesn't have to. It reached into a discount inside a fair value gap. So it does not have to come and fill that completely in for it to reverse from this area. So because we're in an uptrend, I'm more bullish on the euro, which means I'm very hesitant to take a counter trend trade here, because it's reached down into a discount area. It's taken out that low. Did not take out that low yet. It doesn't have to, but it took out this. This is the biggest swing low in the area currently. Took it out pretty aggressively. Just going to need to watch and wait. Owen, welcome in, man. London session someday this week. Maybe. I need to think about that. We have CPI tomorrow, so I don't know that I would do it tomorrow. We also have more red folder news on Thursday. Maybe Friday. Maybe Friday morning we could do a London session. I don't know. I'm down. It'll be a surprise. How about that? I'm not going to stream it. You'll just have to have my Twitter notifications on, and I'll just tweet out the live link, some random London session, and we'll see what happens. But if it happens, it wouldn't be tomorrow. I don't want to do it right before CPI. Thursday we have more red folder news. There's no news on Friday, so maybe Friday morning London session. We could do pull double duty, do London session for a little bit, and then maybe get off and then see if we find anything on New York. I'm down. I don't want to make a habit of it, but it's it's something that I could get used to occasionally. EG reaching down now into its sell side liquidity. If we look at a higher time frame, relative equal lows have been grabbed. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. It's down inside this fair value gap. It's filled it in. There's a nice little volume imbalance just below, a little bit lower. We've had a change of structure here. Couldn't displace up, make a new high. Couldn't make a new high here. Couldn't make a new high here. We broke structure and displaced lower. had a little pullback, not a very healthy pullback, a little pullback, and now we've broken this swing low here, closed below it, tried to push back up, couldn't, and now it looks like we're moving lower. So reaching into this little order block here on EG, not much more to see there. I think I would want to see some kind of healthy retracement here and get back up into a premium area before I would look to go short there. US 30 failing to displace above its breaker, grabbed liquidity, came back up, couldn't displace yet above that high, so nothing going there. Pound Aussie we looked at yesterday, just not a whole lot happening here either. There's no setup forming, and NAS, same thing, no setup forming. Euro dollar basically has the cleanest looking setup, but it's a counter trend trade. Klaus, welcome. I'm trading Europe session. If you want to trade that, best days are Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Good to know. I haven't traded the London session in quite a while. It's been at least a year. At least a year since I've woke my butt up to get up to look at the London session. So I know that we have actually, oh gosh, most of our viewers are in that time zone and are awake during the London session trading that. We have a contingent from Africa, India, and of course Europe and UK. So all of y'all, there's only a few stateside here typically every day. We're outnumbered. We are outnumbered. I love it, John. I've been surprised. I've been surprised at the African contingent that has started to show up in Twitter and follow and show up here on the stream. Ugh. I could probably stay on for another hour at least. Maybe we'll stay on until the 9:30 open. We'll see. Again, I don't like. It's not my favorite thing just to stream for 3 hours. I do love sitting here watching the market move. I've said that before. I haven't said it in a while, but I really love watching candles print and watching the market move. It's fascinating to me. The way it price delivers and where it reverses, where it stops, where it turns, why it does that, what's happening in the world and just in everyday life that contributes to that, whether you believe there's an algorithm or not. It's just fascinating. I have I don't want to be on the charts all the time. I'm really only looking at the charts maybe for, well, now that I'm on the stream, it's more than a couple hours a day. But if I was not live streaming, it's not like I'm just sitting at the charts constantly staring. I'll check the charts like every 15 minutes and then I'm doing something else. But we're here on the live stream and that's it. John says, dumb question, probably because I wasn't paying attention on the euro. What's the brown rectangle? Here or down here? If you're talking about this one, this is our fair value gap. So you had a Again, this is not the cleanest setup, so take this for what it's worth. It's counter trend and it's not the cleanest setup, but you had a run on liquidity. You have a swing high right here that was formed. You had a run on liquidity. Where did this run on liquidity start? It started with these three down close candles, but it didn't run that liquidity. This is another reason I don't really like this trade. These three down close candles are what constitute the full breaker block. And the run on liquidity that we've identified is actually inside that breaker block that moved down. So you can take just the last candle, which is right here. So we're saying potentially we're identifying this is our breaker candle right here. Draw it out in time. Once it trades through with an aggressive move, you've grabbed liquidity, it trades through. Here's your breaker. Where's the fair value gap? It's actually a little bit lower. It's like right there. Clean that up. But that's your fair value gap. On my setups, the kind of teal looking color, green color, whatever, blue color, whatever you want to call it, that's my breaker block. And then my orange, brown, whatever color you call that, is it identifies my fair value gaps. It also, I will use it on higher time frames as well to identify fair value gaps. So anytime you see this brown or yellow, orange, whatever you want to call it, it's a fair value gap somewhere on the chart. And the red lines are just areas of interest. This is the bottom of the 4-hour fair value gap, which we've reaped into here. This is a 4-hour fair value gap right here. So this is the top of the fair value gap right there. And you can see we've reached down into this 4-hour fair value gap. And I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down into, let me show you just a little sneak peek of how I think about order blocks. I use the body to the wick as an order block. So I'm anticipating a pullback into this wick area here. And if you did, one of my other strategies is I would just place a limit order in here at that order block. I would have my stop below the body, and then I would target the most recent high. It does not have a set risk reward. It just targets the most recent high. So in this instance, it would be about a 1 to 2.7 here. That's a different strategy altogether. We're not using that here, but that's what I would anticipate. That's how I use order blocks. Maybe after we get done with this $10K to $2 million challenge, I'll pick another firm and do this again, and we'll use that strategy. Just to show you, there's not one strategy that you need. You only need one, but there's multiple ways to get this done. And this is a bit more of it's not necessarily a swing trade, but it's not a day trade. I don't know what that would be called. Typically, this strategy, I use the 1 hour and 4 hour, sometimes the 30 minutes. But on this specific strategy that I use, I'll often be in trades for the majority of the day when that happens. And a lot of times I will set these limit orders on that other strategy. I'll set them before I go to bed, and they'll get triggered in during London. And then by the time I wake up for New York, maybe they've hit my stop or they're in profits or whatever. And then by the time New York ends, it's done what it needs to do. So usually plays out over, 8 to 12 hours typically. versus the strategy we're using here plays out. If you can get into a setup, by the time you get triggered in, usually you know the outcome of your trade within an hour or two. So that's one of the big differences between those two strategies there. But we have grab liquidity here. We've reached into this 4-hour fair value gap. We're coming into the 8:30 open. Dollar pushed up again, pulled back. Going to be real interesting to see if this daily fair value gap becomes inverted now that we've traded through it. Does it hold price down? Do we get our dollar reversal here today? Or does it want to rebalance some stuff up in here? Pound holding strong, man. It's since its news release came out, unemployment rose just a little bit. It says it is day trading. I guess technically it is day trading. As long as you're not holding a trade multiple days, it's still day trading. It's just not how I think about day trading. I think like scalping to me is like you're in and out typically in, somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes. That's a scalp, maybe even shorter. And when I think about day trading, I think about you're getting in and out of positions within hours. And then swing trading, you're getting in and out of positions within days or weeks. There's a middle ground. I guess it technically is still considered day trading if you're not holding overnight. I don't hold trades overnight. If it didn't, like if I was trying to get in and target the swing high and it didn't hit that target, wherever it was by the end of the session, I would just close it out and profit wherever it was. And then I would reevaluate going into the overnight sessions. See what kind of movement we get here. Starting to get some displacement above on US 30. NAS is not displacing above. Short-term trading, if you hold overnight, it's called short-term trading. I would think anything that you're holding longer than like 8 to 10 hours is short term. Day trading is like just a few hours. Short term would be like 8 to 10 hours, and then swing trading is anything longer than that. But position trading, where guys get in, at the monthly open and they hold for 2 or 3 months. Talk about being freaking patient, man. All of you guys are in here like, man, I don't know how I struggle holding a trade for 15 minutes. Imagine being in a trade for months. There are guys out there that do that. They hold a trade. There's probably guys holding a trade right now that they got in February. On some pair or asset class. I promise you there's somebody out there that is still holding a trade. That's really more of like investment at that point in my mind. It's not necessarily trading. It's like investing. You're investing in this asset class. You're going to hold it. Jack says, my uncle holds trades for months. Never understood how he does it. I mean, it's like buying a stock. You just buy a stock and then you sit back and it's going to do whatever it's going to do. You don't look at it for 6 months, and then every 6 months you look at it and see how it's doing. You can trade Forex the same way. You could just buy euro dollar and don't look at it for 6 months. You'd have to have a very large stop, obviously, and that probably means you have an extremely small lot size. But I don't know. I guess there's people all All kinds. It takes all kinds. John can't do that with futures. Yeah, rollover. You can't really do that with future. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to close out your position and move to the new monthly contract on futures. But you could hold it for like 3 months. You could get in at the start of the rollover and then just hold it. All fundamental from him. Yeah, it is pretty much investing. Anything you're gonna hold for a month at a time, you got to think of it more as an investment, not necessarily like a trade. Trade the spread on futures if you're going to do that. Yeah, makes sense. All right, we're getting a nice little push up here on US 30. Uh, Quite interesting there. Your run liquidity, you've come back down. You do have a fair value gap. There's a fair value gap way down inside of here on the 15-minute. Not small, tiny one that's already been filled in. What's the 1 hour? Nothing there. 30-minute. There's one there, and there could be one forming up here. I think I would want to see it tap back down into that. There's another fair value up there. I think I would want to put it below the body there. Potential. We'll see how this candle closes here on US 30. Could be a 30-minute play. Let me change the color of that. But you are getting displacement away. You grabbed sell side liquidity, displaced away. I kind of like that. We'll keep our eye on US 30 there. Come into the 8:30 open. Perhaps it pushes up, and then your 9:30 gives you a Judas swing. Taps you in and then runs you up. Dollar pushing higher, euro pushing down, GBP also pushing down. All right, we're just gonna wait and be patient, y'all. We're just waiting to see. Again, my bias is long on euro dollar. That's my initial bias right now. So I would be anticipating. Let's see. This is the. Did it take out that low? Yeah, it just did. So it's taken out the low from 12 o'clock yesterday. That would be that same high for dollar would be up here above that candle. So euro is taking out the low that corresponds to this high on dollar, and dollar is not taking that out. So again, just more kind of, for me, confirmation that I want to go short the dollar, and that euro is just running sell side liquidity here. Euro's running all this liquidity, it's tapped into this 4-hour imbalance. It still could come lower into this order block. Remember, this is the wick to body of this 4-hour order block right here. So it still could come a little bit lower, but I would like to see, now that it's grabbed sell side liquidity, in the next hour or so, do we get some displacement away from that? We'll see. If you're looking for an OTE entry here, your London to your current high, you're back into a discount level here on the pound dollar. OTE would be back inside this 15-minute order block right here. So just a few things we're keeping our eyes on. John says spread traders do quite well. It seems I wouldn't know where to start though. I don't really have any experience with that. I'm aware of the concept, but that's about all I can say is that I'm aware of the concept. GJ really offering nothing of value here. EG the same. If we got some displacement away here on EG, if we started seeing Euro get super strong and displace up above these highs, then you might have a potential EG trade because you've taken out sell side liquidity here. But I do like the way US 30 is setting up. I do like that. It just depends on, I don't want to see it again. It's that whole too far too fast thing that we've seen before with other pairs. That shiny little metal pair that we haven't looked at today. We're not going to name it. The pair that shall not be named. But I kind of like what I'm seeing here on US 30. The 30-minute time frame is super clean. Had this run up, initiated this run down on liquidity, aggressive move back through the high. There is a fair value gap at the top of the breaker, but if I'm going again, I want to be in a discount of the previous move. This would be a deep discount. That's the fair value gap I would want to target as an entry. If I were to take that. US 30. US 30 definitely can be more whipsaw than NAS can too. ES. Oh, it's SPX. That's what it is. I always forget. Beautiful setup yesterday. Oh, hey. Doggies are here. Yeah. It's typically opposite. There are times when it moves in conjunction with the dollar. Usually pretty choppy price action, but you want to see them move opposite of each other, typically. So here you see on the 15-minute time frame, very similar to US 30, you see a run on liquidity, and now you're starting to see you're not getting the same kind of displacement, but you are running those highs up here. NAS did not, yes, it did run those highs. It did not give you a clean run on those lows. See how US 30 ran these lows, and you see how S&P ran these lows very cleanly. NAS did not. It's pushed up and grabbed some liquidity up here on the buy side. They've all taken out the buy side liquidity now. US 30 is pushing up has shown you the displacement. But they're moving up with the dollar. So you typically want to see them moving opposite. If the dollar is strong, typically the indices are weak. When you have a strong dollar, it represents a risk-off scenario in the markets. The dollar is typically viewed as a safe haven currency, and so when traders are uncertain in the markets and the indexes and the stocks, right? If there's uncertainty in there and they go risk off, they take their money out of the market and they put it into the dollar for protection. That's the theory. And so when the dollar is going up, you would anticipate the markets heading in the opposite direction. But sometimes they move together. Like right now, US 30 and the dollar are moving together. So, not the best, most ideal trading conditions when they're moving in correlation like that. Hey guys. Again, this low has already been, I mean, this high correlated on the euro. This same low on the euro has already been taken out. And this low correlated on the euro has already been taken out. And the dollar's trailing pretty far behind. If we get displacement above this candle on EG, that might be a nice setup. I'm going to keep GJ on here. And because several of you like EG, we'll keep that up here. We'll watch that. Of course, I'm going to keep US 30. And it's okay to have S&P and NAS up here just as correlating, just to see how they're moving in relation to the US 30. So it's kind of like using the dollar to correlate between euro and pound. You can use all three indexes together to try to identify the best looking setup there. So it's like trading one asset and you're just trying to pick the instrument inside that asset class that has the best setup. That's kind of how I look at it. I still don't know when my interview with Bespoke is coming out. I haven't heard anything. I need to maybe message Max and see what he says. They just put out the last trader interview, the one they did right before me. It got released last week. So it may not be this week, only because it seems like their strategy is to release a trader interview and then kind of milk it for a good week to 10 days. Create shorts off of it, little sound bites and stuff. So it may not be this week. It may be next week. But I haven't heard anything. I'm thinking about, when I reach out and find out, I'm thinking about asking if they would do a giveaway for our viewers here. In correlation with that interview dropping. Again, I go back and forth on the stinking giveaways, man. I think I've seen people pass them and get payouts, but the percentage of people that just use them like a lottery ticket and they don't trade it with discipline, like they actually are a real live funded account, it just creates a gambling mentality because they just got something for free, and so it doesn't really matter. And so I definitely am not a huge fan of giveaways, but I do see how it can benefit a community like this, where there's a bunch of people in here that are actually trying to learn how to do this. And if they were given an opportunity to put what they're learning here into practice, then I would be more inclined. I would be more inclined to participate in a giveaway like that. The social media strategist part of me understands the value, because you can pick up quite a few followers pretty quickly as people try to participate in your giveaway. The problem is that so far all of my following, both on YouTube and Twitter, has been fairly organic and has produced a lot stronger loyal following than those that are just following people because that's the rules that you have to do to be active in the giveaway. So, yeah, love-hate relationship with it currently. I'm not, just not sure if I would want to do something like that. US 30 and S&P closing above the high here, and NAS just closing up and then returning back down into the range. So US 30 and S&P are kind of leading the way up right now. I kind of do like this trade on US 30 though. It's the cleanest setup we have currently. On the table. And the 30-minute time frame is what it's based off of here. Again, you can see the I would enter around 50% of the breaker block, which is right here. Where did this run on liquidity begin? It began right here. Push up, run liquidity, aggressively trade back through. There's your breaker. You have a fair value gap inside, which is, you have one above it. It could just tap into the breaker here inside that imbalance and turn around. I would rather see it come back down to about 50% of that breaker. And I would put my stop below the body of this fair value gap right here. Why is that? Because fair value gaps are draws on liquidity, and it could spike through the breaker and just want to rebalance this lower fair value gap here and take a deeper discount of this swing leg right here. Aggressive would be right at the bottom of the breaker, which you can do. That's totally valid. When I see a fair value gap right below, I will typically just extend my stop a little bit to outside of that lower fair value gap, just to give a little bit more space there, because I've seen it enough to know that it doesn't. It can often come back down into lower fair value gaps. This entry gives me the entry that I want. This stop gives me the protection that I need. If there was no fair value gap here, I would definitely be tighter. But because I see that right below where my stop is, that's a draw on liquidity. So potential draw on liquidity. I want to be below that. DXY has reached up into this volume imbalance right here, the dollar. So you see this volume imbalance here. It's traded back up to it and rejected off of it. Still has not taken out that high that the euro took out here. And it definitely has not taken out this high that the euro also has taken out. So if we get some displacement away on euro dollar, I would take that as confirmation that we're going to return higher here. But we would need to see displacement away. Wondering if pound could, it did take out this low here, but if it could take out one more low and then reverse. Or likewise here on pound yen, if it took out a low here and reversed, potentially. EG starting to pull back. And again, I had said if you get displacement above this candle here, you would have a run on liquidity, displacement above, and you could potentially look for a turn up. So a few different ideas cooking here. We're just going to need to see some a few more candles print, and we're getting into the close to the 9 o'clock hour and the 9:30 New York Open. So. I don't know why I'm coughing so much right now. Seasonally, I don't know if you guys keep up with the seasonal tendencies that markets show cyclically over the years. Seasonally, we're in typically July is when you have a weaker dollar and a stronger market. So seasonally, not only does the market show us what I've been talking about, where I would anticipate a weaker dollar overall, and the charts are showing us that, but it does line up seasonally with typically, it's not always the case, but typically in July, you have a weaker dollar, you have a stronger, the indexes are typically have a little bit of a bull run in July. So if you have a weaker dollar, you would have stronger foreign currencies, euro dollar, pound dollar, etc. Not to say you won't get pullbacks like this, but overall, the chart's moving from lower left to upper right. So this is an uptrend, right? So we want to be trading in line with the higher time frame movement. So we would anticipate seeing price come back down into a retrace, even though we're bullish. This bearish move down is completely expected, and you need them. You need them. It picks up liquidity. It's building in orders. It's the way the market moves. It doesn't just move straight up. You can see very clearly it just comes up, comes up, comes up. So when I see the seasonal charts, I get confused. There is like 30-year-old one line and then newer lines. And so which one should I use? There's usually one that shows like a composite. Basically, instead of seeing all of the lines, you can just see a composite average, basically. And it's usually a line chart. You know, it's not like candles. It's typically a line chart. And if you look at the average seasonally in July, you do get an up move happening in the indexes. I've seen the ones you're talking about, and yeah, there's like, they're all over the place. But when you composite them, that's where they get the true seasonal chart. Coming into the 9 o'clock hour here. Sorry about that, guys. Apologize. All right, 9 o'clock hour just opened. Real interested to see if the dollar is going to try and catch up to the euro here. Take out that high, take out that high. If it does, the euro would definitely drop lower here into this 4-hour order block. This is the wick to the body of a 4-hour order block right here. And then I would want to see what kind of reaction we get off of that for our foreigns. And again, pound, be interested if we could take out that swing low and then reverse maybe. EG paused, did not give us a follow through here. US 30 is really the cleanest looking setup right now. It's just interesting that NAS is so much weaker than the S&P and the US 30. Dow Jones is ripping, S&P is climbing, and NAS is falling. What's that? What's ICT call that? The ugly sister? I don't even know what he talks. I don't even know what exactly that means, but I feel like when one of them is not doing what the other two are, it's the ugly sister. I might be wrong. I'm just making that up. Just context clues. The sick sister. I said the ugly sister. The sick sister. So NAS currently, but that's the right, John? Am I describing that right? When one of the three is not doing what the other two are, it's the sick sister. Is that the accurate description there? This trade setup fits all my criteria. I'm going to give this 15-minute candle a close, and then I might open that up. The ugly sister is what I used to say my neighbor friend had when I was 10 years old. Yeah, sorry. Ugly sister, sick sister. You can see how I got confused. The ugly sister. It's the sick sister. US 30, Dow Jones, S&P climbing higher, and NAS just weak overall. It did take out the high. It's currently holding up. It's not just collapsing, but it's definitely not showing the same strength as the other two. EG showing no follow through here. GJ just stuck in its a perpetual chop. Dollar here at the hourly open is giving a little bit of a weak pullback. US 30 looking clean. I'm going to let this 15-minute candle close, and then I might just get us a little setup here on US 30. We haven't had one on US 30. I don't think I've called a US 30 trade since we started the stream, in fact, but it has given some decent setups in the last couple of days, and this fits our criteria. We've had a run of sell side liquidity. Bam, bam. We displaced higher above an old swing high, so that becomes your breaker block, and you have identified on a 30-minute time frame a fair value gap nested right at the 50% line of that breaker block. So potentially you get that 930 Judas swing, just wicks you in, and then we get that reversal. Similar to yesterday, I was hoping it would come down into this It came into the breaker, this breaker right here, these two candles yesterday were your breaker block that I was watching off the stream, and it came down into, it just touched that breaker. I was hoping it would get down into that. It just didn't come down far enough. But here, that 930 Judas open just wicks down into that breaker and then just rockets off. So potentially we could get something like that in about 20 minutes or so. I want to see this 15-minute candle close. If it, what does it want to do? It's just so this swing leg up. Again, you would be below a discount. You would be in the OTE area. It would be a deep dive into that discount area. So we're watching. We've now run liquidity. We've run liquidity here. This is this line right here. I'm going to change the color of this just so we can notate. We'll make these yellow. Let's see. Where is the top of that? It's that top line. Okay. So this is the 4-hour fair value gap that we're inside of right now. We've reached down to, as ICT says, the consequent encroachment, which is 50% of a PD array. Gosh, man. Got all kinds of junk in my throat right now. Sorry, y'all. This is the body. This is the wick of the 4-hour order block. This is the body, where the body of the 4-hour order block starts. You would anticipate if Euro wants to come down further, it would be inside of here where it reverses. It could come down into the body, but I typically like to see it just reach into those wicks or to the body and then pull back. Dollar showing some weakness here. Just a little bit. Not super strong yet, but again, remember, it has failed to take out this high and this high, and those corresponding lows on euro dollar have already been swept, both that one and that one. So this is a daily fair value gap. It has traded through it, and now it has come back up and traded all the way back to the top of it, along with a volume imbalance inside of here. So there's not necessarily a reason for it to want to keep going higher. It can. There's plenty of rebalance gaps and stuff all up in here that it could reach up into. It doesn't have to. US 30 is still climbing. S&P still climbing. NAS continues to reject off of this area here, which is technically a breaker. Small little breaker in here. I like the setup here on the 30-minute time frame on US 30. Man, if the next 15 or 20 minutes you can get euro displacing above this high here, I'd be super tempted to just because it fits my bias so strongly. But the setup I have in front of me is US 30, and I really like it. It fits all the criteria that we look for in a setup. So I'm going to set up this trade on US 30. What the heck? I would be back up under here. My entry would be right about there. Give me just 1 second, guys. All right. Why that was, let me delete that. I'm going to start over because I'm not sure why that's. It's red. All right, we're going to do that there. All right, let me get my Let me get this set up here. 98706 would be the entry. Oh, dang it. The stop, or the stop would be 940. 05. And the TP is 8784. There it is. We're going to call that out. Limit order has been set. I'm going to copy this, put this over on Twitter. Three 33987 06, stop loss 33940 05, and a TP at 34087 84. We're going to go ahead and tweet that out. We may get another setup on euro, dollar, or pound, and we can have multiple alerts open at the same time. And whichever one gets triggered, we would cancel the other. So we've done that before. We just have to remember to cancel it this time. Last time we did this, we had a gold alert and a euro dollar alert. The gold one got in, and I said cancel the euro alert, which I think everybody did except this guy. Gold took the loss. Euro ended up getting triggered in, and it took the win, which, cool. That's great. But that could have been really bad. But we're going to go with this trade alert here on US 30. It fits all of our criteria. We've run sell side liquidity, a quick stab below, aggressive move away, identified our fair value gap. This is on a 30-minute time frame. And now we just watch and wait. If price, this hourly order block right here would be my draw on liquidity. It's rebalanced up into this fair value gap. I would want to see it draw up into here. So if we can get a return up and then run back up into that order block, cool. If it goes head up and just leaves us and doesn't give us an entry and it hits up into that order block before, we'll probably end up canceling that. But we'll leave that on the 30-minute time frame and just watch. NAS is definitely showing way more weakness. S&P coming back down. Dollar just kind of pulled back, but pulling back up. Pound showing more downside. Dollar is not showing any kind of desire to displace back up above this old high right here. So GJ has just reached down into a little bit of sell side liquidity there. Not a terrible amount. It's not been like a quick dive up into a very clear liquidity area like we saw here. So not much there to to see EG is starting to push up. Will be interesting to see if we get any kind of displacement above this breaker candle right here. About 10 more minutes until the 9:30 open. And kind of what we're anticipating here on this breaker block setup is at the 9:30 open, you get a Judas swing down at 9:30, pushes down, wicks in, and then runs up here into this order block, these highs. That's what we're anticipating. This could be a nice little pump up on EG here. I don't know why my camera goes out of focus so much. I guess it's just because I lean forward and it messes up the lighting or whatever. I definitely don't have the most professional streaming setup in the world, I can tell you that. I had no plans to ever be a streamer. And I just have the most basic equipment that I need, really, to do what I do. So one little light Logitech webcam. That's it. Seven more minutes here. S&P digging back down. Nas is just super weak. Again, we're going to need on EG for there to be a valid setup, you need to see displacement above this high here. It's already run liquidity. So we've ran all this liquidity here. Quick stab down, quick aggressive move back up. If you get displacement above this high, then you could anticipate a fair value gap being created inside of here to go long. I'd really love to see euro dollar displace up here. Five more minutes, and then we're going to see what kind of move we get here on US 30. If we're going to get our entry or not. So we'll just hang out here for a few more minutes. I think my wife and I have plans to take the dog dogs over to a dog park here close by. So I can hear her stomping around up there. Not in any kind of aggressive way, by the way. She's just walking upstairs. Since our last little fiasco when we passed phase 1 of our 10K challenge, that day that we passed, we were supposed to be somewhere when I was on the stream, and I forgot about it. She was so pissed. She was so pissed. So I've been very diligent to make sure to check in the night before every day we start to stream. It's like, hey, what's going on tomorrow? What time do I need to be off? What do we got going on? So she's very, very supportive of what we do. And she knows that there's a certain amount of time you have to be on the charts. Fortunately, it's early in the day. She's not much of a morning person anyway, so it works out. I love getting up early. She likes getting her extra little beauty sleep. We're kind of opposites. She's more of a night owl, and I'm the morning person. But when she's up, she's ready to go, and she's like, all right, the day's begun. Here's what's happening. NAS reaching down under its lows right here. Grabbing some sell side liquidity right there. S&P is not, and US 30 obviously is not. We have about 3 more minutes. We're gonna have to see quite. I was really hoping that the 9 o'clock hour would push us down into here so that when we got to the 9:30 open, we could get a Judas swing down. But this is going to have to be quite an aggressive rush down at 9:30. And I don't really like that too much. Look at Euro. Hey, baby. Look at Euro. Starting to displace. Can we get some follow through here? Can we get some follow through? Oh, EG. Look at EG. Saying nah. Euro dollar though. Euro dollar could be setting something up here for us as well. So we might have a couple of trade setups here. We'll just have to wait and see. It's about 45 seconds and we get our the NYSE open. Get a new 15-minute candle. See what kind of push we get here, if any. Heading in the wrong direction. NAS grabbed that sell side. Okay, it's what I like to see here on Eurodollar. We need to see this 15-minute candle close bullish and leave behind a fair value gap right here. NAS still very heavy here at the open. S&P showing a little bit of weakness. US 30 is lagging behind strength-wise there. So if I'm just anticipating what I'm expecting, I would expect something around here. Oh, that's the wrong direction. I would anticipate an entry here, a stop here, and a TP here. But we're going to need to, we'll need to let the next, we have 13 minutes left on this candle. So we're going to need to see this candle just leave that fair value gap open right there. That's there currently. We can go ahead and mark it out. It has no wick on the bottom of that candle. So it could just be putting in a high and then completely fill that back in, close back inside this range, which that would not be a good setup for us. US 30, if it reaches up into this order block, I'll go ahead and cancel this order on US 30. It's nearing the bottom end of that order block right now. If it gets up into the body at all, I will which would be up inside this fair value gap. If it reaches up into there, we'll cancel this US 30 order here. But euro dollar's starting to get in line with our overall direction here. Getting a healthy retrace back down into that 4-hour fair value gap. Looks like US 30 is going to give us the old gold middle finger aggressive move up with no pullback. Sorry, I said the pair that I wasn't going to say. I said it out loud. Again, I'm going to want to see this. I don't want to see this candle close bearish back inside this range. It's okay if it comes down and puts a small little wick in, but it needs to leave this fair value gap here for us to play with a little bit. On the euro dollar, John, it would be below the candle that created the fair value gap. I'm not canceling the Dow just yet. NAS is aggressively moving back up now. S&P moving back up. US 30. If US 30 gets up into this order block right here, I'll cancel it. euro dollar, the stop, if this does give us a setup, if it leaves us a fair value gap here to work with, the euro dollar stop would be just below the candle that created. So it takes 3 candles to create a fair value gap: the low of the wick, the body, and then the high of the wick. And it just wiped out that fair value gap right there. So there is no more fair value gap here, unfortunately. But had it left it open, then and I don't think there's one on the 10-minute. No, there's not one on the 5-minute. It's closed in that one. That one's already been closed in. So we may not have an opportunity there. GJ running up into its buy side liquidity here. Again, it did run a little bit of sell side right here. Just a quick little stab down into these lows. We're getting some aggressive move away. I'm not sure if I want to go long on GJ though. Owen, would you trade an implied fair value gap in that case? That EU has sealed that fair value gap. I typically don't. It would have to be a very strong wick from here on out for me to consider that. Like on the 10-minute time frame here, if this thing reverses here and closes bullish and it left this wick and this wick were overlapping, you could use that, but probably I don't like to use those. An implied fair value gap is, let me see if I can find an example. It would be where wicks overlap aggressively, but there's no empty space in the body between the wicks that overlap. So if this wick like was up here, this wick was down here, where those wicks are inside that body, ICT calls those implied fair value gaps. Like right here. Right, so you have, it would really, well, that's not a great example. You would really want this wick to be down, but it would basically be where there's 2 wicks that overlap the body portion. You can see it comes back down into that implied fair value gap. See if there's another example here. Kind of there, but not really. It would be inefficient on a lower time frame. Typically, when you see wicks like that, you would, if you drop down into a lower time frame, you could see it more clearly. On a higher time frame, it would show up as wicks overlapping. I don't see a great example. I mean, yeah, basically you could. It just depends on how low you want to go for your trading strategy to find those fair value gaps. S&P, NAS, all rallying. US 30 never gave us a pullback. I suppose I don't have a limit. Yeah, I mean, you can. There was a time, like, I'll go down to the 5-minute, but I don't like going down below the 5-minute. You can find fair value gaps on the 3, 2, 1, 30-second, 15-second. Like, if you want to find a fair value gap, I promise you, if you're looking hard enough, you can find one. Typically, in my experience, the fair value gaps on the higher time frames are the ones that carry the most weight Yeah, all time frame is fair game, and that's totally that's not an incorrect statement. It only matters in that um, if you don't have a super clear understanding of what's happening on the higher time frames, a lot of times you can convince yourself of something on a lower time frame that just doesn't, I guess, line up so well with the higher time frame. I don't know if I explained that well, but and the other thing is those lower time frames candles print so fast it can create this state of anxiety and fear in you of trying to see something that's not there. Yeah, GJ is showing some strength here. It did get, this is what I said, it did get a little run on liquidity right there. It's not the clearest, like this was a very clear run on liquidity. It cleared out that buy side. It didn't really clean out that sell side. It did technically on that candle, and we're getting displacement away. Uh, I would probably use this candle as my breaker. Maybe. Maybe not. This is very choppy in here. It's like, where do you want to see a break of structure? Is this a clean enough break of structure? Well, you're still inside this leg. NAS is dropping hard right now. S&P also showing a lot of weakness. Uh, Davis, let's take a look at UJ. We'll hop over there. GJ. It's a little bit clearer. Oops. Come on. There we go. That's what Jack's seeing there on GJ. EG falling away. US 30 coming back down. S&P showing a lot of weakness. NAS showing a lot of weakness. Dollar showing strength. Euro is not going to participate with us in our move. S&P has taken out sell side. NAS has taken out all of that sell side now. So we'll watch and wait and see how NAS reacts after grabbing that sell side right there. Somebody said US DJPY. Whoa. Yeah, interesting here. The only issue I would have with this trade is that I'm bearish on the dollar. So while yes, you are getting, it is running sell side multiple times. You're getting displacement away. I'm bearish overall in the dollar. So where did this swing start? If you look on like the hourly, it started right here. So you're just now starting to get displacement above this high. So you would need to see this 15-minute candle that just opened potentially. But for me, I'm bearish dollar, so I don't necessarily want to get long on the dollar right now. That would be what would keep me from wanting to get into dollar yen right here. Only that I'm more overall bearish dollar. So the GJ trade, though, is interesting to me. I do wish it had a cleaner run on these sell stops here. I guess you could say that this is your run on sell stops here. This is your cleaner run. It didn't get displacement a lot, but now it's getting displacement. And if that's the case, then you would have to use this candle here as your breaker. Up move, ran sell side. Now we're getting displacement above it higher. And your fair value gap would be right in here. Which would mean your entry would be somewhere here and your stop would be somewhere down here. And it would just change your TP to target these highs up into this rebalance here. So, but you're going to need to see a good strong close above that breaker. If you're using this on GJ as your run on stops, consolidate, displace up, that's your breaker right there. You could use this area here, but this is the my brain is not working right now. This is the area in which price has yet to break a higher low, and it would just had just consolidated in here. What's the freaking term for that? I can't remember. It's just my mind is being lost right now. This is the leg. This is the current price leg, the impulse leg that price needed to break out of. So once it grabbed liquidity on this run down, we would wait to see displacement above that high. And that's what we're getting currently. NAS is just showing no desire to rally. S&P showing a little bit of desire to rally. US 30 is just continuing to push up high. Euro dollar gave us no follow through here. Pound has given us no follow through. The dollar is just consolidating. And that's about as much as I can give on the stream today right now. So we still have this US 30 trade active. The way NAS is super heavy, S&P is not wanting to show any upside. It's given me a lot of pause here on US 30. We'll hold it. The analysis is still valid. It did take out that buy side so it's not great. All right, guys. Almost a 3-hour stream today. It's about all I can give to you. GJ could potentially be a little setup here. I'm going to wait and see how that next candle closes in the next 8 minutes, 15 minutes. We'll see, but it could be a nice little setup there. I would be very cautious. You still have this high up here. Just kind of hold off. We do have CPI coming tomorrow, so it could just be choppy for the rest of our session, and we're just going to engineer liquidity all through here and overnight until we get to CPI tomorrow. So don't rush into anything. Just keep being patient. Hit that like button. Thank you, John. I appreciate you reminding everyone to do that. If US 30 does not get triggered in here in the next hour, I'll probably cancel the trade. Or if it pushes up higher into that order block, like I said earlier, I would also cancel that trade. So we'll just kind of leave that in there for right now. But I appreciate you guys watching again today. I do appreciate it every time you show up here and participate with me. Hope it's helpful for you guys. But y'all be safe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy hunting. We'll catch you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. New York.